Knights, and this is the baffling one for me because I had them. I think I either had them 14th, 15th, or 16th. I think I had them 15th.
You had them last, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I probably did. And then the media could not believe how bad they were. Like, how do these people? Like all year, I heard how they were just. What was going to happen differently to this team? I am completely baffled.
Well, they
by
won
it.
the first 2 games and they were going to win the comp.
Yeah, on the back of 2 blokes who then became Newcastle players. So, like, what they have actually no halves. They have a fullback on 1 point, whatever he's on. That
who will be playing in the halves next year.
Who will be playing in the halves, but like we saw him at Magic Round, had no interest in actually being involved for a lot of that game. They have, their best prop wants to punch their coach's head in, allegedly. And then the 2 other best forwards sort of dropped off completely this year, and that was the end of them. What upside is there to this Newcastle team, and why am I so wrong in thinking that they were shit from the start? Ollie.
Well, you're not wrong, I think.
That's right.
Well,
Thank you. Let's move on.
As I'm sure Barney would have had as well, because as we said, we pretty much had the same picks for a while, but I had Newcastle 15th, and again, they ended up 14th. Again, it's the same thing as that Tigers and Warriors thing. They've all just sort of ended up in that same little schmozzle, but I'm more confident in them getting worse next year.
Brad Fittler see in this team that we didn't.
I don't know. Well, that's the thing in the media. A lot of people were tipping them to finish 7th or 8th.
All I hear is that they should have finished 6th. Like, who was going to get them to 6?
I don't know if it's recency bias because they've made the last 3 final series before that or whatever. It's sort of picking and sticking with them, or someone has seen something in Adam O'Brien other than he likes to yell at people and remind them that he won a premiership with Melbourne as an assistant in 2017. But they've got absolutely nothing going for them. Actually, off the top of my head, and it might come back to bite me, I can't think of a single signing for next year. Bevan French. They've signed Bevan French for next year.
You know what? That's something.
It's something, and I
think everyone, like Hayes, everyone deserves another chance.
Yeah,
at that
100%.
age, gets to come back and have a crack.
But again, it's probably he's going to have some pressure on him because it's not under the best situation. Their best half from this year is going to the Dolphins as well. Anthony Milford was their best half, and he's leaving the club. Yep. But again, that's more next year.
Without Anthony Milford, they probably would have won the spoon. Realistically, because he won up 2 or 3 games when he came in.
Yeah. Gave him some sort of shape, exactly. And I guess that's how you could sort of sum up Newcastle. It was very close. I'd say overall as well, looking at some games, they were worse than the Tigers overall, if you want to look at
the game you put them on par is, I think, what was it, 12-0 or 12-6 they beat the Tigers. And no one did anything except I think both their wingers scored. Both the Newcastle wingers made breaks and scored. And then Tigers, Naden scored, and the rest of nothing happened for the other 68 minutes of the game. It was just disgusting.
One of the 2 games that Newcastle won at the start of the year when everyone was freaking them to win the comp was against the Tigers. I mean,
but so again, their 2 wins are against the Tigers.
Yeah, it baffles me that they are going to get worse next year. Their best performer was David Clemmer. Even with the back half of the season, whatever happened there, you'd have to say the overperformer, though, I'd say probably Dominic Young.
I'd say both wingers.
On the both wingers, but I feel like you expect probably even less from Young. So I'd say if you had to pick one overperformer, I'd pick Young out of the 2, but Edric Lee was obviously very good as well. Brayley, when he was there as well, I mentioned him before. He was great, I thought, but the pickings start to get very slim from there on out. I mean, you had Frizzell, who sort of dropped off towards the end of the year. You had Dane Gagai, who looked like the Australian centre for the first 2 weeks there, and then he
might still be the way they're going. But
well, yeah, but then he completely dropped off as well. And for a guy who used to be a really good defensive centre,
93 missed tackles this year. Dane Gagai,
a former good defensive centre, and
was he ever?
Rep players. Well, again, centres, it's comparative. You've got to keep it in the mind of we're talking about
one of the best defensive centres going around there for a good part of his career. Just a quick overview. I just wanted to go back because I had them 15th as well. They've run 14th. This was my summary at the start of the year. Very quickly, was I can see a tough year ahead for the Knights. Could realistically be 1 or 8 from 9 games. Brayley injury, massive concern. No proven halves. Ponga's going to have to do all the attack. He'll get targeted, and a decent forward pack means they probably won't get consistently flogged, but will struggle to win a game.
And that forward pack was probably even a bit worse than what you even would have estimated, so that didn't help.
So, yeah, there was no creative spark. Their forwards were in and out of matches, way too inconsistent. Lee and Young...
I don't know for sorry, I'm just looking through the stats. Edric Lee and Dom Young were the two equal leading point scorers on 56 points. I couldn't imagine any other team in the comp whose goal kickers were not
in the
the leading point scorer.
Absolutely.
Ponga hit 40 points all year.
Yeah.
Anyway, go.
Their forwards are way too inconsistent. Lee and Young overperformed massively. Ponga, Best, Gay Guy were their biggest letdowns for the year, realistically, and their halves. Clemmer was their best player. Brayley was decent when he came back after his injury. They need a whole new defensive structure again. They're another one of those teams that don't seem to know how they're defending once the ball gets outside of the forward pack.
What is their defensive structure?
Just try to grab somebody.
Yeah.
They don't slide. They don't. Generally, their wingers stay on their wings, but then the centres start jamming. The halves take the inside man.
And how many blokes against Newcastle walk over untouched near the posts?
Absolutely. They need a whole new defensive structure and 2 or 3 more points in attack, and good luck finding that in what's left out there.
Underperformer is Jake Clifford, Oliver's favourite player, who went up there and was Dally M favourite after the 3 rounds, and now can't even make the first. He's now unemployable. He'll be the next Brodie Croft. They may as well go get Brodie. To be honest, some NRL team should realistically go and get Brodie Croft. They'll be better off with him.
He probably has improved as well.
He would have because he's gone over there, played eyes up footy because you do that in the UK.
At least better than
come back here and you can be you can be a better half.
At least he'll be confident for a couple of weeks.
Clune's been on display from an average Dragon to an average
Knight.
I'm sure they're all very nice blokes. I don't mean.
They need some ball playing back rowers. They need a whole.
I don't see how they don't run 15th or 16th next year. I actually don't see no
16th or 17th. Do you mean?
A 7.
They need a whole new set of halves, half a front row.
Well, at the moment, so it's pretty obvious Kalen Ponga will be playing in the halves next year out of Clune or Clifford because those
Adam
are the
Elliott
only
will help
two.
massively.
Yeah,
and let's just say the Saifidi boys have underperformed massively.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if 1 or 2, both of them are out of there at some point. But Hetherington's going there. He'll certainly be there. Elliott's a big in, but when he goes when Adam Elliott goes in that system, I can't imagine him leading them out to the promised land.
He'll do the hard work and the grind through the middle, but he's not going to add. His ball playing this year at Canberra was nowhere near as what it was before when he was a Bulldog. So,
does the Newcastle officials, according to the media, seem to think Luke Brooks is going there? So that'll be interesting. Will he help? I'm dubious.
Yes.
No. Do you have anything to say? No. You know, they're going to be in our wooden spoon chat next year.
They're relying on Brayley, and they need to find a first-class halfback.
If you're going purely off paper at the moment, Newcastle have to be odds on to win the wooden spoon.